know you feel it, the burning in your spirit, welling deep inside. You got a beast inside. I know it's hard to tame it, it's harder to explain it. Can't even get a picture, no matter how you frame it. There's so much pressure with all these external stresses, and undoubtedly try to touch you. Gotta push them through the feeling, even though your mind is reeling. The power's deep inside and leads you if you were willing. Got the power. Can you feel the power? This is the hour to release your power. Got the power. Can you feel the power? This is the hour to release your power. Got the power. Can you feel the power? This is the hour to release your power. Got the power. Can you feel the power? This is the hour to release your power.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Power Shut Up podcast. We have had some technical difficulties. I'm hoping that my guest can still join in, but we were having some problems getting her in the studio. So if she's tuned in, I actually shared the link in the chat for her to come on up. I'm hoping that it'll work. We're going to keep the ball rolling, but I'm hoping that she didn't give up and she can use that link and come on in, and we'll continue the conversation and see if she can jump in. Cherie was usually behind scenes, but she had something important she was taking care of. So you all bear with me. I didn't share, but last Thursday, it was a great show. We had the founder of Notes to Socks come on, and we talked about positive affirmations. And that Friday, I actually had an unscheduled play date with Vertigo. So I ended up in urgent care, and yeah, it wasn't as bad as last year when I had a bout with Vertigo, and I'm doing pretty good, but I'm taking things really slow. So you all please bear with me. I thought I had kind of released it, but Vertigo doesn't want me out of the play box, so it keeps grabbing me in. So I'm moving a little slow. Bear with me, and Shariva will join us if she can. But if not, you all are stuck with me tonight, and we're going to continue some of the conversation that, and I'm still going to shout out the guest. So hopefully you can find her. But I know last week we talked about the fact that we're going to, her mission or her purpose is about men are not the enemy. But before we get started, let me, kind of stay in the flow with what we usually do. And I'm hoping she hasn't given up and will still tune in. I think she got a little frustrated. But the link, if you are there, Jane, is in the comments. I believe I put it at the top of the comments. Please see if you can click that on and join us, or you can talk with us through the chat, through YouTube. I know that she led people to the YouTube channel to tune in. But before we get started and see if she gets the opportunity to come on in, I wanted to say happy birthday to all of those who are celebrating a birthday today or this month. Happy birthday. Enjoy. I am definitely a celebrator, so it don't take much. But if you are enjoying your birthday today, that's what you're supposed to be doing. I hope you didn't go to work. I take off. But happy birthday to you, and happy anniversary to anyone who's celebrating love. I am a lovey-dovey kind of person. So anniversaries are a reason to take off too and celebrate life. It's a big deal. So celebrate your anniversaries, do something special. And I also wanted to say congratulations. Congratulations to those who I know have just released new books, for those who have just bought a new home, for those who are looking into retirement. Just putting that out there. That may be a congratulations coming my way one day. I'm just saying, really soon. But congratulations to you on whatever it is that you did and accomplished. Way to go. So I want to remind everybody to like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel, share this out with your friends. We're going to have some good conversation. We will definitely, if she's not able to tune in tonight, we will definitely get her back in here. But I did want to shout out everybody who's tuning in. Lisa, Crystal, Empowering Perspectives. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate you all. Please stay tuned. I have a little surprise at the end. You all know how I kind of randomly do things. So there's a random surprise at the end. But I do have a couple of shout outs too. So I think a lot of you I have actually met on TikTok. And like I said, when I see something that's empowering or inspiring or enlightening, it doesn't always mean this platform is for everyone. It doesn't always mean we agree on every point, but this platform is here for things that fall under those categories that we get a chance to kind of hear what's going on and let's talk about it, because this is the Power Shut Up. But I wanted to do a special shout out to, if you have not heard of her, her name is DJ Coco Rowe, and she comes on Mondays through Fridays, 9 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. Certain days she does slow jams, she does gospel, she does praise and worship, a little go-go. She's from the DMV area, so she's from my home. But if you get a moment in your evening to wind down, I know she was very helpful as far as her show being live when Sunday, because of Vertigo, I could not skate. She played a whole night of, it felt like, skate jam. So for those who don't know, my husband and I met 35 years ago in the skating rink, and we still skate to this day on Sunday nights for adult night. Other nights too, sometimes at a couple of other local skating rinks, but we still skate. So I didn't get a chance to skate this Sunday because I didn't think that was a good combination with Vertigo. Hopefully I'll be back at it, if not this weekend, next weekend. But I was able to listen to some jams from DJ Coco. So if you get a moment, please go on over to her page and check her out. It's a good time over there. So I wanted to share and let you all know. So that's just a random shout out. I told her I would be doing that just to let her know that there's some support out here for her. So I wanted to talk to you about our guest. I know she's had some issues with tuning in, but her name is Jane McMillan, and she has a platform where she talks about men are not the enemy. And I believe most of her purpose, and like I said, if she's tuned in, please start chatting in the chat. This is not going to stop us. Even though you couldn't get in here, we're going to still want to talk about it. And I will definitely get her back on the show. But she wanted to talk about, and I would welcome, I think, Empowering Perspectives was really interested in this conversation. So if you would like to, I would welcome you all to come up here and join me if you want to just have a chat about it, in lieu of Jane not being here, but definitely shouting her out. Jane has been doing some what she calls street work, and she has been moving around Georgia especially, and she's been going to the campuses, the HBCUs down in Georgia, and she's been talking with the students and kind of giving especially the young men a space, a safe space to talk about the things that are on their mind, why they feel like they're not being heard, which I think is a lot of what she's getting to as far as why men are not the enemy. Because you all have been out here in these streets and you hear that, men are talking about the women are talking about the men, and what we all are not doing. And I don't know that that's being very productive, because we're just kind of going at each other and no one is giving solutions. So she's out here doing some street work, and she's actually doing some research and talking to people one-on-one and finding out what issues that men have, where they feel like they're not being heard. And I do know this is for specific audiences. There's some women, I believe in the fact that men are not the enemy, but I know that some of the, noise out in the streets is that, men are not listening, and the women feel that the men are not listening. But if we start to have conversations and just kind of listen to one another, maybe we can start to work some things out. So that's what Jane was actually coming to talk about. And I'm really sorry that she wasn't able to get on, but I'm hoping that she's still tuned in and maybe can share some insight on what she's trying to do. I know she stayed in Georgia. I'm not sure how long, but she would actually do street work, and she held up signs along the highways and streetways, kind of sharing with people that, hey, you are loved. I think sometimes it's just as simple as that, letting people know that someone hears you. And I did notice when I watched some of her lives with these young people that a lot of the young men went over and approached her and kind of opened up and shared their frustrations with why they're not being heard, what they're trying to say. And even in relationships, she's having conversations with men who are sharing their struggles with not being heard in their relationships with their spouses or in the dating world. I know that's a big topic out here in these social media streets. So that's kind of what Jane was going to start to tap into, and she's done some real legwork. So if you all want to click that link, let me know if it's not working for you. But if you want to click the link and come on in and talk about it, I remember last week Empowering Perspectives was like, this should be interesting. And we have some men and women who can actually have a good conversation about this. So I wanted to make sure Jane didn't feel like we were pushing her aside because she had some problems with getting in. I know she's on social media. So if you see her page out there, it's called Men Are Not the Enemy on TikTok. And she has been out there. She's doing the daggone thing. She really wants to get out there, get the message out there. She would love to speak at events. I think she actually has started to work on hosting a couple of events. And I think Sharifa just came backstage, but we weren't able to get her the link so she could get in. So I still wanted to continue with the show and talk about a little bit of her topic because it's a direct connect to the power of Shut Up, right? The reason that the power Shut Up came through or came to me was because of conversations with hubby. And I felt like I wasn't being heard, and I think he felt the same way. So, it's a direct connect. What is a good evening? I'm ready for this conversation while wearing my socks. I love that. I love that. I'm so glad you got your socks in the mail. I have mine too, as a matter of fact. I love that. That just reminds me that y'all love socks just as much as I do. So, and happy birthday to you, because those are birthday socks and winter socks, because you won last week. So I'm glad that you received those. I do have the link up here. I think let me work with me a little bit. Yeah, grab your notes to self socks today. Here is the link. So y'all check it out. I think that Empowering Perspectives has his socks on tonight. That's what I'm talking about. The weather is perfect for it. So if you did win some socks and they came in the mail already, grab your socks and put them on and let's talk about it. But yeah, I wanted to have some conversations about how men and women are struggling with communicating with one another. And I really liked what Jane was doing, because even with the power of Shut Up, I had to do some research myself. So, of course, I started this based on some personal experience and what I was going through. But the other part of this is myself. So, hello, thank you for joining. Yeah, we're going to have a good conversation here. Jane, we are going to represent for you and get you back in here as soon as we can. But I was going to share that the part of the what I had to do with research when it was about the power Shut Up is, in talking about the power Shut Up, I also discovered that men use less words than women do, and on a daily basis. I mean, we actually use about 3 times the number of words that men use, which kind of added some perspective to why I was feeling like he's not talking to me, but sometimes he's all out of words. And I mean, it's funny to say that, but technically that's exactly what was happening. You come home and women were understanding. I'm coming home. I'm ready to talk about what happened during my day, because I got plenty of words left. And he's kind of all talked out because he's talked to his buddies, maybe his sister called, and yeah, he's over it. So you're frustrated. He's no longer kind of tuned in. But those are facts that I had to take into account while I was moving in my feelings. So I'm thinking it's all about me when some of it isn't all about me. It's about the differences between us. And some of the work that Jane was doing is really kind of figuring out, especially in the dating world, like what's going on, what are men looking for, why are they feeling like that women are not valuing them, they don't think that, you know, they're on our side. So that's some of the things I wanted to talk about. If we can get some men up in here, don't be scared.
Great. Tell him, don't tell him. You welcome. I ain't gonna leave you up here, Sugar. I got you. I'm gonna come up here.
I know, look, because y'all for real, I could talk all day long, but I'm like, you want to listen, look at Lisa. Y'all got two now. So since y'all weren't responding, you get two Lisas. So thank you so much, Lisa. This is Lisa. I have met Lisa on, and this is gonna be so well, I'm not gonna tell you, but by the end of this, you'll see why this is
we need to get Coach up here. We need to get him up here.
We need to get him up here. But thank you so much. I know Sharif is actually multitasking. She's behind the scenes now, but I wanted to get into some conversations. I know this will be an extended conversation, but there are some direct connects to the dating world. I'm not in the dating world, but to be honest with you, I still date my husband. It's important that we go out on dates and do things. So we got to learn how to communicate with each other. If you don't have no communication, it's a wash. So even what I was sharing about what I share with what Jane's mission is, Lisa, what were your thoughts on why men, and I really want to hear from the men, why is it that you think that they're not feeling heard or understood? They really feel like that we're on two different sides in this world, and that and really to really push that they're not the enemy, but I think they believe that we think that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of work going into making them think that. And we had a conversation this weekend on our podcast, The Hearts of Women, Hearts of Men collaborated. And these are some of the things that we talked about. And so we had to listen to, you know, we asked them questions and they were honest and they answered us. We may not be what we wanted to hear, but it's what you need to hear, because you have one of the things that Coach is saying, that a man nor a woman can say they can identify with the other, how they, you know, navigate this world.
Right.
We come together because we benefit being in a relationship together. But they
can need each other, right? We
do. We need, and so, you know, I was happy to hear the topic because it was something we just talked about. You know, we just
perfect timing. And at the end of this, you'll know why it's even better timing with this. And you coming up, it was definitely, and I love, so I'm trying to figure out why these men that I know tune in. I see you, Business Pros. Why and I see he's talking about Scorpio season. Okay, so come up here and represent for the Scorpios. But why we want to hear from the men. And I do think that with this conversation, I will share that I think Jane at times got a lot of pushback from women, because the battle was about, and you all have heard this, when someone says, well, men are not the enemy, then you get, well, women aren't the enemy either. Here's what I have to say to that, because I know we tend to do, and I call it tit for tat. And we all do it. But what I think is that we have a difficulty with separating two things being true at the same time. So it is true that men are not the enemy and women are not the enemy. But at times when you're having these conversations, right now, the conversation is about the men. Mm-hmm. So although there's another side to this, if that's not what we're talking about, I think women sometimes come in and they want to defend the women's side of this. And it kind of deflects from the fact that right now we're talking about why men aren't the enemy. And so I would just ask some of our, our sisters to please hear what's going on. It's like you got to sometimes chop this up and deal with the men first. And I relate to this because I have a friend of mine who does a conference every year called Bringing the Sexy Back to the Marriage. And she does it to promote marriage and people. She really wants to bring back the notion of marriage is a good thing because it gets a bad rap. And I notice sometimes when we go to these conferences, we're talking about everything that our husbands do and and she's shutting us down saying, We're not talking about them right now. We talk about you.
The main thing. Yes.
We talk about you. And with this conversation, I really wanted to get into it with Jane, and I'm gonna bring her back in here. Is men aren't the enemy, and we have to do better as women with letting them understand that they are not the enemy. They're not. I think we have one person that's joining us. Thank you so much.
Somebody said Joe was looking for me.
Yes, we look for you.
What's the other part? Here he is.
Oh my goodness. I wasn't going to act out.
Be out for you. This is wonderful. We get somebody in here that can help us to understand, because I've had a show where I had the men come on and tell us what their issues were. And to what Lisa said, they share some things that are kind of hard to hear. And we have to be able to, as I say, kind of push our egos aside and hear what's being said. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you're awful. It just means that here is what we asked the question and they gave us an answer. Now it's time to
consider.
Take that in. Yeah, take that in. Hear what they're saying. So let's hear from you. Like, why do you think that men, and I'm not saying you necessarily, but that there are a lot of men out here that feel that women think that they're the enemy?
Well, I think it's important to understand that there are two conversations that are being had. I tend to go by the notion that all skin folk ain't kinfolk. So there are some folks out there who are competing against one another. As long as we have this competing mentality, we're not looking to unify. But there are a group of men out there who is looking to unify from the perspective of bringing our culture together. Our culture needs to come back together, and that includes the men and the women for the sake of the children. Make no mistake about it, if we're still worrying about, especially those of us in our generation, I'm 50, I'm assuming that we're right around the same age, right? And I don't necessarily want y'all to put y'all age out there. I know that I was raised right. I wasn't gonna ask y'all specifically.
I don't mind. We're doing a good job with it.
Yeah. But those of us in our generation, we should not be looking to be at the center stage. What's in it for me? Me, and me. We should be the one that are actually, spearheading the conversation that helps the younger generation realize that we made some mistakes when we were younger. We did not necessarily have the right information in our head. Therefore, the behavior that we exhibited probably was not profitable overall, holistically for our community. So now we got to right the ship. Right? We got to be completely transparent, be completely honest, and start to dismantle some of that stuff. Because let's be transparent. We looked at our parents, and then we formulated some opinions. There were some of us who were raised in a dual parent home, and we had a model, good, bad, or indifferent. Right? Just because we had both parents doesn't necessarily mean it was a good model. There was a lot of us who were raised in single parent homes, and there was a missing link. And so we spent a large portion of our life trying to fill in the gaps of information that wasn't present. And then let's look at it. A lot of us, our model for the Black family was Cliff and Claire Huxtable. So it's a lot of stuff that we got to unpack. So yeah, TV, absolutely. So it's a lot of stuff we got to unpack, and it's a lot of stuff that we have to start relaying the information for the younger generation. Well, just as many of us who desire to do the right thing, there are twice as many of us who could care less about the right thing. And so that information is actually going out there as well. So that information, believe it or not, is actually being broadcast far deep and wide. And our information just doesn't get a lot of traction. So everybody is not looking to unify. So when it comes down to it, what does that information look like? For men, it's like, you remember how it was, all men are dogs. So when you start using these general terminologies that include a whole community, the whole community of men, that is automatically incorrect, right? I'm not saying that there wasn't some bad things that happened, but you have to go back and get down to the root cause. The act was not the root cause. You got to go a little bit further. You got to go into the psychological understanding of that individual, the emotional awareness of that information, that individual. It's a lot to go into this conversation. So yeah,
it really is, and I can see this. I'm glad that this was actually related to something you all have talked about. And it's a conversation that I really like to have, these kind of conversations, generally speaking, because I love to be in the lane of uplifting these relationships. And it's something that, well, if you ask my husband, I love to talk. And he is not he has grown into being a better communicator, but I think it's because I learned to shut up. And I say that in a loving way, but I learned how to be quiet and listen. And I also learned how to manage my words. For instance, if he shares some information with me that is how he feels, because I saw Business Pro mention something about men feeling like they're going to be judged or criticized, which I think is a big thing. And I noticed that I was probably very guilty of that. As soon as they open their mouth and say something, they were saying, well, that's what I'm saying. You know, we got a lot to say. And I remember one time he shared something with me, hurt my feelings, but inside, if we set our egos aside, it was something that I consider was probably true. So I kind of had to, think about it and say, well, why am I going to argue about something that I actually know he's being truthful about it? And then what I think I was responding to was the tone. So if you have a problem with the tone, what I did was just say, I absolutely agree with what you're saying. I think your delivery is what triggered me. And then that became the conversation, which was a much easier conversation because he didn't mean to, it wasn't like he meant to hurt my feelings, so to speak. So we could talk about that instead of what he was just checking me on. And I think a lot of times, and I'm speaking for some women, that it's hard for us to hear the criticisms from the men. Because a lot of times we just think that we're the better communicators, that we have all the answers. We really do. We think we pour in more, right? So we're like, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. We got this.
You know what? When you said that, it made me think about why we think the way that we think. Growing up, we were taught to be the princesses, and you remember the songs that we sung. Even though you may not think this is relatable, I think it has a lot to do with the programming and why a lot of people think the way that they do. Girls were sugar and spice and everything nice. And what were boys? What were boys?
Oh, look.
Dogs and snails and puppy dog tails.
You know what? And I'm laughing because Sharif and I have done a show with Prince DeJour, who's one of the radio personalities on 102.3 here. And the name of the show was Who Rules the World? And it was girls. We were sitting there chanting, girls rule and boys drool. It's always something negative with the guys, and yeah, we were trained to think that way, so we think we have the upper hand when we start to get into these relationships. Yeah. We do.
Yeah, and that's something that we have to for each other when we're in relationship with each other. I think that we owe each other that. Say, listen, did you listen? And I like the way you said you responded to your husband, because you guys were able to continue to have a conversation. You're right. What you said was right. This is what I responded to. So now you're learning and growing how to communicate. And sometimes that's not even available.
Right.
When I was going through coaching and I heard certain things, they triggered me and I didn't like them. But then I had to sit back. I had to get out the phone, finish my session with this one right here. And then I had to go and think about it. Right? It was my responsibility to understand why I was feeling the way that I felt about what I heard.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't, it wasn't anything negative. I didn't necessarily like the tone. I just didn't like what was being said. And so now I had to go figure it out, because I don't like how that felt, and I don't want to have to feel that way again. So I need to go and consider and examine myself and see why that made me feel that way. And why I responded the way that I did.
Absolutely. And to me, that goes back to one of the first shows we had this season, where it was about checking yourself. We really have to do some self-work and know, when we're touched with something where it's like, okay, you tapping into me. You do know, and checking the source. If you're really with someone who loves you, who wants the best for you, why would they be saying something that would intentionally hurt your feelings. If you take that in consideration, then you can sit back and say, okay, well, he wouldn't say anything that just hurt me for no reason at all. So let me hear what he's saying. But I mean, that takes work. I just think that, and I think you all have talked about this before, even when we've, been on our lives, that we really are scared of the self-work to get to a place where you can acknowledge what's being said. Just acknowledge it first. I mean, if it's true, it's true. It doesn't mean that it's going to change today, but if you can at least say, well, I could do better than that. That's that ego that just
that's what it is. I was going to ask you, why do you think that we feel that way? Why do you think that's our first response?
I don't know if it's because, and I'm trying to put this to self, like, why did I think I have, and it probably comes from childhood trauma, where I was always trying to please. And I would say in my particular situation, my dad, I didn't want to disappoint my dad. So I'm always, thinking that I'm doing this right and I'm being the best this. And when someone expresses a disappointment with, what I've done, I'm feeling like I guess failing, similar to what the men are feeling, that I'm feeling like I'm a failure, that I'm a disappointment. And I don't want to feel that, because I've worked so hard to not be that. And now you're sitting here saying that's what I am. So yeah, I got issues with you.
Yeah.
I had a moment real quick. I'm just saying.
If I may add, as both of you share your perspectives, one of the things I believe wholeheartedly is that good is the enemy of great. And I think a lot of times we get to the point in our life or in situations to where that's good enough. It doesn't have drama. Therefore, if drama doesn't exist, then that means we're good. But that's not always true. Just the eliminate, like we have a mindset that we just only want to eliminate drama. And as long as we can exist in spaces together and we don't have drama, then we're okay. But isn't there opportunity for you guys to thrive? Can you grow from there? Like case in point, in the midst of conversation, I'm listening to you and I'm loving both of what you're saying, because it was like tonality. But wait, does that not go back to emotions? And if I am supposed to listen to how you feel, does not my emotions matter in the midst of conversation? So is not my tone an expression of my emotions? So should we not make room for both of each other's emotions in the midst of it? What is it about our conversation that drove the tonality in the first place? See, we got to keep backing it up, right? We don't just start with this is what happened. Let's talk about that. No, let's keep backing it up and discover the root of the thing, because the root is actually the problem. And once we define the root, then that produces the fruit.
Absolutely.
That's good.
You tapped into I did a presentation recently this week on the power shut up, and it was to what you're saying. It was about why now I acknowledge or take note of when I am speaking and what I'm speaking about. If I am in my feelings and my emotions about something, and I don't want that to come out, because I mean, to be honest with you, we could be having a bad morning and walk into our office, and the next person that says something to us that has nothing to do with what happened this morning is going to get it all. And because of our ego, we're going to actually attach it to something that they did, even though this really had nothing to do with them. So, and it's a never ending cycle. And it does come a time when we have to just accept what is. I love what you said. And you made me think. So I thought about this in the moment you were talking and said, okay, I'm taking this in, because I was stuck on tone still. So I was still doing it. Whereas in that moment, he was probably responding to something I was given, so that's why the tone was what it was. So don't tell him no. I'll break it to him. If he tuned in, he ain't gonna tell me, but just don't tell him. So
I don't even know you yet, bro, but I got you. We in this together.
He over there saying, I know that's right. Tell her. No, I'm good though. I get that. And I just think, I like what Jane is trying to do. I know she's not here, so I really want her to understand it. I heard her when she said men are not the enemy. I got it. And they're not. And I think that one of her issues is that we don't hear that enough. So even if it's a group of women who understand that, the women, to what you said, Dwayne, is the louder noise are those who are like, yeah, whatever, but a bad experience is what's really screaming out. And we've all had bad experiences on all sides. To me, that's also a self thing where you decide where you're going to keep. Are you going to keep talking about that one incident? You didn't have no good experiences in life that you could talk about. When you think about it, you probably had some good experiences you could talk about too. It doesn't meet your narrative though.
And there's another aspect that we have to consider when we talk about decisions or experiences that people have had. They don't consider their aspect in those. They made the decisions. So in part, they were responsible for some of the outcome. So it's not just the experience you had, but what did you contribute to the outcome?
Yeah.
Or making the decision. And so we can't just say, I had this bad experience. Now it's time for us to go back and say, why did I have this bad experience? Right. What did I do to contribute to this so that I don't do this again and repeat it again? That's how we unpack and we learn from those lessons that we've had or experiences that we had. I know that was something that I had to learn to do, and it was uncomfortable.
Well, that was nice how you said that. It was uncomfortable. No, that stuff hurts. It hurts bad.
It does, but it makes us better. It's required. Right. It's part of what we have to do, because we're not going to grow if we stay there.
But there's the thing, we have to do the hard stuff. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of us don't want to do the hard work. We're going for the low-hanging fruit, whatever's easiest, whatever's comfortable, because a lot of this that I went through to get where I am, it was not at all comfortable, and I didn't take it so well. So I can joke about it now, but I was serious as a heart attack when I was like, I didn't do anything wrong. So, what's the problem? And I mean, but I felt so much better when I was like, Lisa, that you a whole handful sometimes. Like, come on. And it's nothing wrong with acknowledging that you are not perfect, because the suggestion is, if you get mad about it, is you're suggesting that you get it right all the time and that you're never wrong. And we know that's not true. So why even live in that space, when you like, you don't know everything. So
we got to realize the clapback is real. Listen, we come from a community where the clapback is real. If it's available, it's coming. But I am an advocate of, and I think as we reflect on our lives, I think most of us fall in this category. We were supposed to do the work before we got to the space of saying I do. Yeah. And since we didn't do the work first and we said I do, now what we do is we hold our partner accountable for our insecurities. And so that's the issue. That becomes the issue within the space of relationship. So it becomes a jousting match at some times, which we don't even know, to where who's going to work on what and who's going to help me work on it. And I said I do, and we're supposed to be one, which means your transgression is my transgression. But that becomes part of the issue there, because I don't want to partake in that, and you don't want to partake in my stuff. And then next thing you know, I go out there and do something with somebody else that's ungodly, and now I become the enemy. But what you did not realize is that the stuff back here could have been the reason why I did not feel fulfilled and went out there and do that. Now, don't get me wrong. I still own my version of the action. I am not saying I am void of it. But the problem is that we forgot when we got together that we were working on becoming one. And we go into the relationship with this individualistic mentality. And you listen to it, and this is the part that really gets me. The so-called elders of our community, they teach that. They teach individualism in relationship. No, there's no place that you find that, only in the secular community. So how is it that we're teaching the right thing, especially the elders? How are we teaching the right thing when in all actuality, we're sending them down the same grave that we're digging for ourselves? So we have to look at it. We got to teach to go back and do the work. Do the work on self. You create, like, I can't go into a relationship with a survival mentality. Go look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Love and belonging happens after the basic needs. But if I did not do this lower level work, I go into love and belonging and I hold you accountable for those needs for me. That's not fair to my partner.
Absolutely. And it's really not, well, I can say that on this end. It's not as hard as people think. But I'm gonna give an example of something that was truly a hard test for us, but I know you're gonna laugh. But we were told, and I think this is great advice for people in relationships or dating. Okay, so you have a plan to go out on Friday night to go to the movies, but come Tuesday, there's been, as some of my friends would say, a, 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 a fellowship that's challenging. They always call it something else but an argument. I just laugh about that. But they have this fellowship that's not so make you so happy. So now you're not interested in going to the movies on Friday night, right? That kind of kills it. But the advice we were given was, in those moments, still go. And of course, our response was, well, what in the world? Why do I want to? I don't even want to talk to this person right now. Why do I want to go to the movies? But because we were willing to do the work, of course, mad and face all frowned up and everything. But we went. It was amazing to watch how just pushing through that thing that, of course, it was the ego pushing you back. But once we got to that, you forget about what the issue was, because it really wasn't about anything. And I noticed that then we picked up other things that we would do, because we like to laugh and joke and play together. Somebody will put on a comedy show or something that, even though we're sitting in our own spaces on the edge of the couch, left and right, there's plenty of space in the middle, because we're actually laughing at the same thing. It just draws you back together, and then it breaks the ice. So we're able to have conversations because we're not mad about it when we're talking about it. So these things work. They're really not that hard to do. We make them difficult because we're really in our own way. So now on this end of it, I can say, y'all, wait, why y'all tripping? But I do agree that I was like not happy with that advice. I thought it was awful advice. And why in the world would you tell me to go with somebody who I'm just like not happy with right now? But it worked.
Yeah.
It worked.
Environment matters, and I'm not going to let the child in me show up in the environment.
That's right.
Let's be honest. But let's go back and consider the conflict, because I believe that conflict is a beautiful train wreck. Like conflict existing in a relationship creates an amazing opportunity if you allow it to happen. One of the first things you have to realize is that my partner, just like the title of the show, my partner is not the enemy. So if you can keep that in the forefront of your mind, we just don't see this particular situation through the same lens. Right. That's okay, because here's the beautiful part about it. We're two different people trying to become one flesh. So now what we get the opportunity to do is share our perspectives, not force our perspectives to the other person. And if we can articulate why I see it the way I see it objectively and line it up with the thing that we say that we're going to pattern our life behind, and for me, that's the Bible. If I can share my perspective objectively and line it up with the scriptures, now, if you're getting upset with what I'm saying, you're not getting upset with me, you're getting upset with the scriptures.
Well, well, then when you do that, it's like, what could I say?
And that was my downfall.
I'm like every time, so
I can't say nothing but go and do some work. That's
right.
That's all I can.
And I love this conversation. Thank y'all for joining me. I would love to continue this. I need to join into the Voice of Reason I'm not even going to tell you because you're going to see at the end of this, but I wanted to make sure that we do the word of the week and the tip of the week. And then we have a little TikTok moment, but there's also something else that you're going to see is connecting exactly to what we're talking about. But I actually appreciate you all coming up here. I'm hoping that her name is Jane McMillan, and I want to do my due diligence because there was some technical difficulty. She wasn't able to join on with the link, but it's Men Are Not the Enemy. She has really done a lot of leg work. I think that she does have some frustrations. I will honestly say a lot of it is coming from the women who are not understanding that this is not about that women aren't the enemy either. This is about, let's talk about why men are not the enemy. And then when we can split those up and deal with them individually and then bring it back together, maybe we can do something productive. Because I do want to ask a question, Dwayne, before we leave on how what's at least one thing? And for the men in the comments, Business Pro, whoever's in the comments, one thing that women can start to do to maybe break some of that, the feeling of being criticized or being judged, was something we could do. But before we do that, I wanted to do the tip of, not the tip, but the word of the week. For more giveaways. It might be socks, okay? Because somebody likes socks up in here. That's what I'm talking about. But let's do the tip of the week. Let me see if I can. Not the tip of the week. I want to do the word first. I do. So the word of the week is convivial. I hope I'm saying that right. Convivial. I'm sorry, I said it wrong. Convivial. So the first person that can give us the meaning of that word in the comments will receive a gift. And I'm not even going to tell you what it is. You're just going to need to send your your address information to our email so that we can drop something in the mail for you. Could be socks, could be a book. But what is the meaning of convivial? And we got two people up here that were winning stuff last week. So they're giving you all an opportunity to win. And let me just remind you all, any of the things that I give away on the Power Shut Up podcast, I really like it. So I don't mind keeping it. Friendly. Absolutely. Crystal is the winner. Which is what all these people that are in here and supporting me, they're just the friendliest people. I thank you all for all of your support. And I think, yeah, she started, because sometimes I get it wrong. My eyes don't be working, y'all. But Crystal Everett is the winner. So congratulations to you. I also want to share the tip of the week. The tip of the week for this week is your face and gestures can speak volumes. So be mindful. You could be sending the wrong message. Nonverbal communication is still communication. And it's funny because I had an incident this week where we had a retreat at work, and I had ordered some lunch, and a young man came to the door, and I was trying to meet him at the door to save time, and I'm in a meeting, and I did have some confusion on why he was asking me what was my address, because I'm like, you're sitting right here, so I don't get it. But maybe my face said something that it shouldn't have said, and then he reacted to it. So then he's shaking his head and rolling his eyes and all that kind of stuff. So I thought about maybe my face wasn't right. Maybe I was a little confused. I really was. But I said, okay, Lisa, fix it. Our parents used to say, fix your face and watch your tone. So I kind of checked myself. And when he handed it to me, I said, thank you so much. And then he kind of came off, he took the edge off. And those are little things that we can do to kind of shift the energy, because sometimes it's us. And, my face says everything. I'm very transparent. I have big eyes that actually say things before I open my mouth, and I have to be mindful of them. So I've done a lot of work in these, Dwayne, I'm just going to say, in these 56 years, I have done a lot of work with this face and trying to make sure that I do not say something that I do not want to say. So that was just something, the timing was impeccable, because I said, okay, we did something with the Power Shut Up, and now I'm being tested. I get tested all the time afterwards, like, wait a minute, after I do it, now you want to play with me? Yes. But I appreciate you all. I have a TikTok special message that I want to share to take you into next week. But before we do that, I'm actually, Sharif, I don't know if you know, it's the second one. I'm going to grab a little commercial that will give you some information about something going on next month. So let's share that, and then we'll go into the TikTok moment.
Connection Code, questions women want to ask men, part 2, backed by popular demand, scheduled for Saturday, November 17th, 10:30 a.m. We're diving deeper into the hearts and minds of men, creating a candid and open space for honest dialogue. Please subscribe to the Empowering Perspective YouTube channel, Renewed Consideration YouTube channel, and you will get notifications when we go live. The hearts of men and the hearts of women are under the Empowering Perspective YouTube channel. We look forward to seeing you then.
And she didn't know nothing about that. This was not planned.
Well, let me tell you something. Let me tell you about what he did. He said last week, he said, you and Lisa ain't slick. How she gonna give you a chance to win? And I was like, what? Did she give me a chance to win?
It was last week, y'all. I seen it unfold right before my eyes.
See, sometimes it sneaks in because I just want to give people stuff. So I'll be like, I got you. So everybody who tunes in here is probably going to get an opportunity.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing that.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. I try to catch you on Saturdays if grandbaby is here this weekend, but I still want people to know to tune in. And so I really liked when you said that you all were just talking about this. I'm hoping that I can bring you all on. This was perfect because I had already said I needed to reach out to you all to come on here and have some conversations about all kinds of topics. I talked about subconscious that I really want to get into. This was perfect timing. I'm hoping that we can get Jane back in here and still pull you all in because we got room. We got room in the end. I'm just telling you, there's room here for us to have some really good conversations. But before we go and do the TikTok moment, is there something that the men can share that women can start doing so that we can understand and start to pull in those other women who are challenged with this thought that men are not the enemy? What can we start doing? Just one thing to just start things off.
I don't really want to sound cliche-ish, but become part of the solution and not the problem.
Okay.
And I think what that looks like, especially for men who are looking to unite our community, because I'm a real big community person. Just ask, like, how can I help? How can we help? Like, just the fact that you were going to have this I got excited when I heard you announce last week that this was going to be the topic because I was ready. I was going to be sitting right here, lights off in the dark with a pen and a piece of paper. Because let me be transparent. Unless the men have garnered a large following, you will get a following faster than we will, because the social media community flock to women. It is what it is. So if they just ask, like, how can we help? How can we support women? How can we support men? Like this particular show, there's other people out there, women who are actually now being a voice and an advocate for men for the sake of unification. Like, that must be the goal. And just like it works the other way around, just like if we're walking down the street and I see something happen on the other side of the street where I feel a woman's life is in danger, I should feel moved to go and help. Right. So that works both ways. Like, women protect men and men protect women. So we just got to find a way to get that back into our culture and re-energize that mindset.
I thank you for that. And I think that that's hearing it first and then acting upon it. I think Lisa's already doing that. You already doing that. And I would like to shout out that Jane's doing that. She's done some of the legwork. She really feels passionate about putting the message out there that men are not the enemy. So I know she was really frustrated not being here. So I'm hoping this represented her well. And we'll definitely get her here. So I want to leave you with this TikTok message that I think motivated me. It's just something to think about to take you in the next week. And remember, we come here live every Thursday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Power Shut Up. Thank you so much. I needed this because I told you this week was sometimes I'm good and then other times it's a little weird. But I will be getting some rest and probably I'll be getting some rest. I know some people are saying, yeah, right, whatever. But this was an important conversation for me. And I figured as long as I'm sitting still and not trying to do no cartwheels, I should be okay. So let's check out this moment before we say goodbye. And then I do want you all to share where people can tune in, what days, and check out what you all are doing on here as well. So hold on just a minute and we're going to share this.
Evil is winning everywhere. It's because too many people who God has commanded and called to do something are still sitting in their I can't. By faith, everybody, if you're sitting down right now, stand up. At your job tomorrow, some of y'all just gonna be standing. You're gonna get a stand-up desk. What you doing? I'm standing up. Just by faith, hold hands with your husband and your wife. We stand. I know we live in a community with poverty right now, but we gonna buy this community one day. The only reason God put me here is so I could see the depravity and know that I'm the answer for this. No, I had to struggle to get through college, so I knew what it felt like. So then when God blesses me, I'll start a college fund. You're not famous, I'm funded. I'll do whatever God asks. Stand up. Y'all sit down. Is it that easy to make you fall off for what God told you to do? Oh, is it that easy? Oh, is it that easy? If somebody just tells you, I said stand. That's all it takes is one person to say, I don't like your idea. Nobody's ever done that before. You can't lead a multi-ethnic church in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's the... Shout at me one more time. Stand up.
So just a little message to take you through the week. Hopefully it'll motivate you, pull out what you can from it. But I want to thank you all again for tuning in. And thank you, Lisa and Dwayne. But please let everybody know where they can find you and the amazing things that you all are doing. I tune in every week as much as I can, but they got a lot of stuff going on. You all really need to connect with them. So please share.
That is him. Got a lot of good stuff going on.
You too.
Well, I do try to, I'm thankful to be a part of the Empowering Perspective community, where there is a lot that we do in the community, and the focus is community. We're coming together, like-minded people, and want to grow our community, and we want to help each other. We have there's a group of us who have a heart to want to help each other. And so I am doing the Hearts of Women podcast, which that was given to me to do. I enjoy it. Yeah, I enjoy it. I'm still learning in this podcast environment. I enjoy it. The Hearts of Men, podcast. And so we spend a lot of time just developing and growing and learning and coming together just to encourage each other and strengthen each other as we go on this journey together. That's what we spend a lot of time doing. And it's been beneficial. So anyone who wants to be a part of an environment that wants to grow, that's positive, we're not about no foolishness. We just want to continue to encourage each other and grow together.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you're waiting on me now, right?
Yeah.
Yes, your turn.
I don't like talking about myself. Okay. Where do I start? So I'll pick up where Lisa left off. So the Hearts of Men podcast. It is a podcast that me and old Army buddy of mine talked about, and we came up with the idea. And the notion of that podcast is to kind of create an environment where we can talk about things that young men are going to encounter. Like if I could go back and have a conversation with my 20-year-old self, what would that conversation look like? So if you name it, we talk about it on that program. Everything, the finances, to relationships, to parenting, all of that great stuff. And that airs on the Empowering Perspective YouTube channel at 8 p.m. every Friday night. It goes from 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. And then on Saturdays, the third Saturday is the Hearts of Women, like you just heard Lisa say. And the fourth Saturday, which is the fourth Saturday, which is the Reframing the Image of Relationships. It is the whole conversation is about relationships, and we try to base that conversation strictly off of biblical perspectives. But by that same token, we also have panelists who do not necessarily follow the scriptures so closely, and that's okay. That's the main reason why my YouTube channel is titled Empowering Perspectives. Like, we need to be able to hear other people's perspective, even if they don't believe like us. Sunday, as you know, Sundays at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time, we have Sunday brunch. Myself, the voice of reason, rolling down the street, Tawami Gaddy, Miss Nodella, and anybody else we can get to join us on the panel. So, Dr. Lisa Dove Washington. But we talk about life challenges from the perspective of the scriptures. And so I think it's a very good conversation, and we take just the struggles of life, and we see what the Bible says about it, and we get everybody's point of view and things of that nature. And I think it's good. On Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have what is called Coach's Corner. So it's myself and another John Maxwell certified speaker, coach and trainer. We talk about things, leadership. But the beautiful thing about it, I talk about leadership from the perspective of like corporate America and things of that nature. And he tends to talk about leadership from the perspective of the family dynamics, because that's the first hint of leadership. So we tend to bounce those back and forth, and it's a beautiful conversation. I love it. That's just it. I told
you.
Oh, and the website, www.totalmindset.shift.com. We have a message board over there. We just put in send empowering messages. Everybody can contribute to it. And again, it's www.totalmindsetshift.com/groups. And, we just invite everybody over so that we can continue to build our community based upon what his intention was for it to be.
Thank you so much. It's an amazing space. You all please connect with them, drop in and check it out. It has blessed me in so many ways. And they're doing so many things. They're being very humble. But it's powerful conversation, and everybody in there is at different spaces in life. So they grab what they can. Nobody's afraid to ask questions. It's a very safe space to really talk about what's going on. And I mean, I know that keeping it real is relative. I really know that because I talk to people about keeping it real according to who. But you really do. And I think that these conversations and the topics that you all are talking about are all the things that I'm interested in and will bless you all. So I hope to see you all in the room when you get an opportunity. And I thank you all for coming up here and helping me out. And I look forward to bringing you back often. If you all will have me with you here. The Power Shut Up podcast appreciates you, and thank you continuously for your support. We out here trying to make a positive difference, and this is how we build and grow. Because there's some noise out there that we're pushing against, but I think we got some good stuff going on. So
I wanted to mention one other thing.
Okay.
Now you got to talk to Coach about him writing his book. Okay.
It sounds like that's an overdue project.
It is. I literally have like 3 books tossed around in my head. Titles. I literally created like an image for one that came to me the other day, and it's like, I need to do that one too. So I got some work to do.
You absolutely do.
Thank you, Lisa, for putting me out there.
Look at God. I'm telling you.
Accountability.
But no, this is good though. That's good. That's what we need. I think we hold each other accountable for mess as opposed to holding us accountable for the things that can bless other people. So I greatly appreciate that. Well, I just want to say this before I mute my mic and let you do what you do. This is what we need to do. I'm talking to everybody out there in the video sphere. This is what we need to do. I think right now a lot of people are moving through the lens of scarcity, and they're acting like there is a limited supply. Stop listening to the news. Stop listening to those people. They're poisoning your mind. We worship a God that has unlimited resources. He is the source of everything that we do. Therefore, if we really and truly do believe that, he has more resources than we can ever imagine. So that being said, let's support everybody. Like I love, and I'm saying that because you do it so awesome. I like the fact that you just come on here and you just promote people. You like get these socks. Next thing you know, you get this book. Next thing you know, get these. You know what I'm saying? I got this garden tool. Like where did you get the garden tool from? Like how do you do that? Like it's always something. And I want to give you your flowers right now. That is an awesome quality about you.
Oh, thank you. I want everybody's feet warm. Like, no, no, but I really do love giving. And Shariva, well, thank you, Lisa, for sharing the book thing, because Shariva's behind the scenes. She's a part of everything that I do. I thank her so much. So that's what she's proof that millennials and Gen X's, we can work together. Absolutely. She keeps me grounded. I keep her grounded, but she's part of the publishing team too. So she has heard.
She heard
all rolling. So thank you so much. Look, I'm going the wrong way. Gotcha. But thank y'all so much. I look forward to seeing you. We're actually not going to have a show next week. I'm going to spend some time with my grandson and family. But we're coming back in November to for some more guests before we kind of break for the holidays, because I am all about spending time with my family during the holidays. And you will be seeing Lisa and Dwayne again. So get comfortable. But thank you all so much. Thank you for Michelle, Business Pro Special, Nodella, Crystal, everybody who's tuned in, and please continue to share. That's how we make this happen. So appreciate y'all. Y'all hold on just a minute. Don't get off.
Okay.
We'll see you next week.